Welcome to this week's edition of the Belau Report. I'm Jane Belau. Our guest, the Mayor of Rochester, and Kim Norton. We welcome you back.
Well, thank you. Good to be back.
Before we talk about current issues, let's talk about this study for resilience.
Yes, the Sustainability and Resiliency Work Group worked, a number of years ago now. They worked for over a year to come up with priorities for the city to address climate change. And it was a very broad-based group, 45 to 60 people, depending on the time. We used some co-design as part of that as well. And they put together about, it's like 104 ideas, roughly, over 100 ideas of things that individuals can do and things the city can do. And so that work plan was put together with the help of consultants, and recently was brought back to the City Council, who heard about it back in 2021, but now they've been asked to adopt it as the work plan for our staff. We have a new sustainability and resiliency staff person named Kayla Betzold, and they want to use that as a guide for her to do her work. So yes, so it's old and new. It was put together 2 years ago, approximately, and hopefully will be adopted at the next meeting.
Okay, the next City Council meeting?
Yes, it's supposed to come forward for a vote at the next City Council meeting. We held a study session because one of the City Council members had been new, elected since that task force report had been adopted, or I guess not adopted, but presented to the City Council in the past. And because it had been so long, some of the council members didn't even remember they had heard the report. So this was an opportunity about 3 weeks ago now for them to have heard more about the report again. It was represented to them, and now they're going to be asked to accept it.
And so they're asking it as a guideline?
Just as a guideline for her work. It surrounds areas like housing, transportation, building efficiencies. You know, as you know, Jane, the city is using geothermal energy. We put in geothermal in City Hall last year, and we are putting it in the library and the Civic Center this coming year. And also we will have some new apartment complexes that will link to that, and private industry will link to it. So we're creating a whole geothermal district because we know that transportation and buildings are the two greatest users of, they're the greenhouse gas emitters and users of energy that we can affect as a city.
Okay, and this is done with Mayo's plan for robust and what is it there?
Yeah, Mayo Clinic's Bold Forward Unbound project. They have their own energy goals that they will be using for their projects moving ahead in the next, I don't know, I think 4, 5, 6 years, as that first building is set to open, I think in 2029, but I'm not for certain. But they're going to start work on it very soon, clearing the land, tearing down some buildings. It's an exciting time. There's a lot of development going on in the community from Mayo Clinic, but also from the city, with the 6th Street Bridge and approval of so much housing for seniors, for workforce housing, as well as low-income housing.
Yeah, and I know the Housing Coalition.
Yes. Yeah, the Housing Coalition and many groups in the community, including a group called Isaiah that does some advocacy work. They too have been working on this issue of housing and have presented a plan. So many, many people in the community, including the city of Rochester, know that we need to provide housing for seniors, for persons with disabilities, for working people, as well as people with low income. So we need all kinds of housing. It's not just one, it's housing for everyone.
Oh, wow.
It's a lot.
Okay, that's better than housing just for the homeless.
Absolutely. Well, we know that many people, including seniors, live in homes that are too big for them. and they would like to move, but there's not a lot of stock out there to choose from to move out of a home with, say, 2 or 3 bedrooms into a home with 1 or 2 bedrooms. Many of us want to downsize, but it's hard to do with the cost of housing. So yesterday, the city council and city administration were on a bus tour of the city, and we visited several of those new developments that are building 1-story homes for seniors, for people on, moderate income who want to leave a bigger home and have a 1-story house where they don't have to worry about stairs. And they were quite lovely. There are 2 and 3 bedroom versions that we saw, and it'll be an option for people to leave maybe a larger home and open it up for the market, because we know the cheapest homes are ones that are already built. So if someone can move into a new 1-story home, it would free up that larger home for a family.
Wow. That's in the study that they're using for a guideline?
Yes, the Maxfield study. The Maxfield study covered low-income housing, workforce housing, just the need for homes based on our growing population. And while it focused more specifically on workforce, low-income, and senior housing, we know that any housing allows people choices and the ability to move around depending on their needs.
Yep.
Yep. So important topic, and one we're really working on in the city.
Huh. Wow. Well, what else did we talk about last time, which was housing for homeless people?
Yeah, housing for homeless. There continues to be a joint task force that meets between the city, the county, and also many of the nonprofits that serve people with, experiencing homelessness. And I think we have Any Path Home. We had initially talked about a program called Built for Zero Homelessness. Now they're calling it Any Path Home. And there is this joint effort to address the growing number of homeless in our community and across the country, and make sure they have places to go during the day, as well as a place to put their head at night. Ultimately, the desire to have a place for people to call home permanently.
Okay. Did we close our parks?
We have passed an ordinance that prohibits camping in our parks, yes, and that has actually gone quite well. We saw a significant drop in camping this past year, and at the same time, the city, the county, and these nonprofits have worked together to open an overflow shelter, so there is room for everyone that is experiencing homelessness to put their head down at night in a safe place. So we did those hand in hand. You can't sleep in the parks, but you can go to the warming shelter or Salvation Army at night and have a place to lay your head.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
And we are asking the business community and the community at large to help us fund that. The city council voted to put $50,000 toward keeping the Salvation Army open, but we do need funds for supplies and also staffing. And so Joe Powers and some other business folks in town are helping us with an initiative. And we ask your viewing audience to consider donating a few dollars. The Rochester Area Foundation has a place so that you can make donations. And we hope that people will respond. They've been telling us, what can we do to help? Here's something you can do to help. Keep that warming shelter and night overflow shelter open throughout 2025.
And we'll see evidence of support for that or not support for that in the primary election that was held a week ago.
The primary election tells us what the community is thinking about who they want for their next leaders. But we have a general election yet in November that will help us, determine the community's positions and where they want us to go. So it will be, it's a tough couple months with a lot of campaigning going on locally as well as nationwide. And looking forward to having that behind us and being able to move ahead together, working together, I hope, with a a council that is collaborative and truly wants to work together to find solutions, even when we disagree, knowing that we want to do what's best for this community with every decision that's made at that council table.
Now, you, the mayor, don't run this time.
I do not. I'm not up for election for 2 more years. So this is simply at the city council level. There are a few seats open, and some people, like our council president, chose not to run again. And Mark Bransford in Ward 2 chose not to run again. But then we have other members in Ward 4 and Ward 6 that did choose to try to run again. And the electorate will, tell us at the end of both the primary and the general election the direction they want us to go.
It'll be interesting.
It's always interesting, every year.
Okay. And the presidential election?
Absolutely. Things are heating up.
Oh, my.
Only 3 months. We can do it.
Okay. The study for stability and resiliency, according to the article in the Post Bulletin, said that they were worried about sustainability and support from the public.
Well, surveys show that 70% of the public nationwide believes in climate change and wants communities to address it. So I think the vast majority of people in our community in particular that care about health do want us to do something. I also understand that several of the council members wondered if it went too far because it talks about education. And the reason for that is because the United Nations sustainability goals cover the whole depth and breadth of sustainability. And we do need to educate our public about things they can do to help address climate change and to help lower greenhouse gas emissions. So I don't think it's controversial in the public at all. I think there's just some question about, does it go too far? And other people would tell you, Jane, it doesn't go far enough. So that's where we stand as a community. We don't always agree 100%, but I think we do, the vast majority of people in Rochester think we need to address this issue.
They've involved 183 people.
There was a task force of 45 to 60 people that met regularly, and then they went out into the community and involved other people and brought back that information. And we had well-known people in this community, including, before she served on the city council, Brooke Carlson, as well as John Wade, who serves on our Rochester Area Economic Development. Those are 2 examples of people with differing views, certainly, differing perspectives, coming together with the consultants and many of their peers to make these recommendations. So I don't think they're controversial. I just think there's a lot of them. There are over 100 ideas and suggestions, but our staff will only pick the ones that make sense for a city, like energy efficient new buildings, for instance, or geothermal energy as opposed to gas. Those are the types of decisions, or transportation, electric buses versus diesel buses. And yesterday, the city council, the press, and the community toured the city on our beautiful new electric bus, which is so quiet. They could lecture on the bus and we could all hear them. It was lovely.
Really?
Very nice. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't think about the quiet.
Very quiet. Very quiet. Yeah. So that was nice. And did you and I talk last time we met about the Rochester Visioning project that I have going? I can't remember if we talked about that, but I'm not sure you're aware that the mayor's office is hosting a visioning project asking the community to give input into what we want Rochester to look like in the future. And so we kicked it off at Rochester Fest, but it really is getting into full gear in September and October, where we're taking 2 months for the community to email, to call, there's a website they can go to give us their best ideas about what would make Rochester better, what's missing that they've always wanted that's not here. for us to talk with the staff as they plan for our future. Because as you mentioned earlier, Mayo Clinic is planning for their future very purposefully. And we need to do that as a city, but we need to know what the community wants and desires for our community in order to know how to move.
That's 2 months of September and October.
We're taking community input. They can send emails. There's a phone number, 507-328-2050, because we're looking at this as Rochester Vision 2050. As we look out that far, 25, 26 years into the future, what can we do better? How can we make Rochester the very best city? So,
Well, it looks like we're losing faster than we're gaining. For example, the Y has a child program that they're going to be closing.
the child care. Yes, it was very disappointing to hear about that. And I'm hoping someone else will take that beautiful facility and start a different kind of, or a child care there. We really do need to address the crisis of childcare that this country is experiencing. We have young families who both the husband and wife, if it's a two-parent family or if it's a one-parent family, that parent has to work, and those children need quality care, and we don't have enough of it. And so, you know, it is a challenge right now, and I'm hoping I was accepted into the Hunt Institute Fellowship, and I will be going in September to a conference, and I have one fellowship day with other mayors, and then a conference with state officials in the childcare area and mayors to see how can we address the crisis of childcare in our communities. And I've been working with Cradle to Career and others about, Brooke Carlson, Council President Carlson, also has had an interest in this. And we've been trying to say, how do we as a city, with that economic development fund we got from the sales tax, how can we use some of that money to support affordable childcare? And we need to come to, as a country and as a state and as a city, we need to come to some agreement about how we're going to make sure that programs like the Y do not close down. The YMCA building, you know, we lost that earlier in the year, last year, and now the Child Care Center. The models that were used in the past are no longer working. We're seeing a true downturn in the number of people belonging to clubs, and people are just doing things differently. We need to figure out how to cope with that, how to address it. How do we keep the work that our nonprofits have been doing all these years? You've been members of nonprofits. They do great work. But if they don't have the giving or the membership, how are we going to keep moving ahead in a positive way? It's tough.
That's a very good question.
Yeah, it's a challenge. I'm hoping this fellowship that I'm going to be attending will be helpful, that I can come home with some ideas. I did ask the city staff to add an economic development person in our city. I would love to change our community development department to the community and economic development department and have a staff person who focuses on the economy, including childcare. Because our people can't work if they don't have childcare, emergency childcare, backup childcare, as Mayo Clinic does for their employees, that are essential for our government and our community to work appropriately.
And they say that there are fewer children being born.
Oh, there are. I think people are having children later, and the family size is smaller, except for many of our immigrant families that come over who have somewhat larger families, and I know many of them are finding a challenge, as we talked earlier about housing. If you have 6 or 8 children, it's hard to find housing that's affordable that has enough room for a large family. So again, that is one of the challenges that some of our developers are really struggling with, is how do they build appropriate housing that really works for the people who live here.
And a lot will depend on the presidential election.
A lot in our country rides on presidential elections. So yes, well, we're all waiting for the next few months to see what happens.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, how about one electric bus? mean, what are we going to encourage more electric vehicles?
We have 2 electric buses currently running and 2 more that have been, I believe, have been delivered. So we have 4, and they're the articulated buses, the very long ones that kind of bend in the center, that ultimately will be used and have been ordered for the bus rapid transit that Mayo Clinic and Destination Medical Center in the city have built from way outside in West 2nd Street all the way down to the Civic Center. That route will be all electric buses. They will run every 5 minutes. We're anticipating them opening in 2026, and it will take Mayo Clinic employees from out west, out toward Country Club Manor, bring them all the way through town. It will run every 5 minutes in peak times and every 10 minutes all day long and late into the night, and it will be free for everyone, Mayo Clinic patients as well as the community. And that was a negotiation that Mayo Clinic and the city of Rochester made on getting that line, that bus rapid transit line up and running, and it will be electric buses. Again, because everyone's committed to clean air, not having all that exhaust and diesel fumes in the community. They're quiet, and they run quite well. The 2 we've had now for, I think this is the 2nd year. They're working very well, and we have at least 10 more on order, but because the federal government has limited with the CHIP Act and with other legislation, they've limited purchase from other countries, and so we have to produce those buses here. Ours are from the St. Cloud area, New Flyer, and I assume that's where the new buses will come from too, but I believe there are at least 10 more on order that will be delivered soon. So they're working quite well, even in our bitter cold, so that was good news.
Have they solved the need for the stations to charge these buses?
They have them. And they stay charged for many hours. I mean, yeah, they have that all worked out, so they're not worried about that at all. The new bus rapid transit probably will have its own charging station separate from the charging that the city buses have at their lot, because they'll be running all day long. So I assume it'll be at the West Transit Village, but I have not asked that question specifically, and I can look into that next time we meet.
Wow.
And yes, we need more electric cars too.
Yes, we do. They have to be affordable, though.
They do. And some of them there are some rebates for some states are choosing to do rebates. I don't believe we are as a state, but I know 2 of our city council members this past year added electric vehicles to their own homes, and I've had mine since 2017 and 18, so have had very good luck with it. And I think we all have different kinds of vehicles too, which is fun. We can compare.
With bikes and cars.
Bikes, they're electric bikes and regular bikes, as we saw a nice fat tire bike over in the studio just a little bit ago. And that's a controversial issue, trying to make room for bikes in our community. We have lots of wonderful paths, but we also have the need for commuting lanes on our roads. And so trying to make those lanes convenient for people in cars and bikes, safe for people in cars and bikes, has been a bit of a controversy. And even just as recently as this past week, Mayo Clinic, in talking about the construction it will be doing downtown, has really made that issue of where are bikes and cars going to go during that construction. So those conversations continue.
Okay. All right. And the people who used to come downtown don't very much.
Oh, have you been to Thursdays downtown lately? Tens of thousands of people are there for Thursdays downtown. So that has been a very wonderful, despite the kind of rainy, windy summer we've had really nice turnouts for Thursdays downtown. So the Rochester Downtown Alliance or Association, RDA, has done a really wonderful job in hosting those. Kathleen Harrington, who's leaving her role, and Shaun Fagan, who is taking over that role of running the RDA, has a lot to be proud of. And I would say the Chateau Theater and Nora Anderson have really activated music, which I know you love, Music downtown. They have over 200 artists and different musicians playing throughout the summer. 200. It's amazing. Wow. Almost every day there's some music downtown now. So that's exciting. And we do hope the community will come down more and more to visit our wonderful shops in the downtown area.
That's great.
Yeah, it's been hard coming back from the pandemic. We did see less people returning to work downtown. So we're finding other ways to entice people to come down through the RDA and the work that they do, as well as our wonderful stores. There's a lot of marketing going on about downtown, and our restaurants are growing, and people are loving that new food venues in town. I think we're becoming a foodie heaven, which we haven't always been. So that's exciting. We've always had good restaurants, but now we have many more of them and new ones.
That's good to hear.
It is. It is.
You don't hear that very much.
No, this has been new the last year or two, and I always hesitate. I'd love to tell you my favorite restaurants, but if I do, I'll leave someone out, and I don't want to do that. But we have lots of wonderful restaurants downtown as well as throughout the community. There are lots of restaurants popping up in some of our newer areas along Circle Drive and out southeast. So yeah, I think we can be really proud of what we're doing with our restaurants in town. I'm just thrilled with all the fun ideas, Korean barbecue and Thai food, and there's just many options, as well as wonderful American fare that we all have learned to love, or we've all grown to love as children.
Well, that is good to hear.
Yeah.
Because you hear about downtowns all over.
Yes.
Suffering because the employment has changed.
It absolutely has, and MinnPost wrote an article just within the last 2 weeks about that very subject in Minnesota, saying Minneapolis, St. Paul, and other cities should look to Rochester because we have a booming downtown. So that was exciting to hear and read. It was a lovely article, and it did talk about some of our wonderful restaurants and the activities that we do, as I mentioned, with RDA and others. It's being noted. We're being noticed, and it's noted in articles. So I was very pleased. That was...
That's got to warm your heart.
It did. And I noticed right away, Destination Medical Center picked up the article, and the Chamber, and they reposted it on social media. And I was thrilled to add to that, because it was quite complimentary of our community. And frankly, when I sit at my downtown booths on Thursdays downtown, I go out as mayor, I'll be out again this week. I talk to people, and they talk about how clean and how lovely our community is. I talked to a family moving from Decorah, Iowa, where they've lived for many years, to Rochester because they came here and they loved it. And that does do my heart good.
Wow.
We should all be proud.
We're down to our last 4 minutes. And so what would you like to tell our viewers?
I would say we are winding down our summer. And I hope that our community is going to take advantage of these last beautiful days of summer and fall to come downtown, to go out and visit, downtown or otherwise, our wonderful restaurants, to get out and move before it gets too cold. I do, as you might remember, my Move with the Mayor activities twice a month. I'll be doing it in September again. So I'll be encouraging people the month of September to get very active before the snow flies. So I would recommend you get out and use our wonderful 100+ miles of trail systems and take a walk. Good for your health, good for our community. And if you haven't stopped by to see the beautiful new pool at Soldiers Field, I would suggest, even if you're not a swimmer, you go take a look, because we have a lot to be proud of in that beautiful new water park that families have just loved this summer.
Are you still looking for gifted people to serve on committees?
I'm always looking for gifted people to serve on committees, and we just filled many openings that we had over the last few months. But in September, many of our board and commission members their time and their commission will expire, and some of them will not be allowed to serve again. So, and I said this at the city council meeting, Jane, this last round of applicants was absolutely outstanding. And I will certainly keep the names of those I couldn't place on hand to place as soon as I can, but we're always looking for the community to volunteer to serve on our boards and commissions, and you can just go to the city's website or call our office downtown, and we will help you fill out an application so we can consider you for a future commission and board. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mayor Kim Norton, thank you
It's a joy to be here. Thank you, Jane.
for your leadership.
You're very welcome.
That's good. All right, thank you, our viewers, for your interest in the city of Rochester and its surrounding communities. And we'll be with you again next week, same time, same channel. Have a very good week. How did you do this? Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Do we have, I don't know if we have a lace?
Well,
Hello, Jane. Just put this down and tie your way here.
So
how
you
are
have
you?
a few friends here
Oh my goodness.
who wanted to say welcome back to the program. Thank you so much for 50 years. It looks like you have a few gifts here. And
Oh,
you have lots of
my.
admirers that have come to, come on back. We're gonna get a picture, so come on back. To say thank you for 50 years of programming.
Oh, thank you.
And Jane, I think nearly 90 years of
90
joy
in October.
in October. And I want to thank you too for everything that you did as Poet Laureate for this community. And I will say Ardell is unable to be here today and he sends his regrets, but you were his Poet Laureate you were the first Poet Laureate.
She was very complimentary about the Alliance in the downtown and the county. She covered everything.
Well, and I
She
wanted to
always
cover
does.
something
Let
that
us-
we,
Let us just, we all wanted to say something.
well,
you
can
wait
I
on
give,
this?
can I give her
Okay,
this and
all
then
right.
we'll let
All
everyone
right.
talk? On behalf of the city of Rochester, I'm giving you a key to the city, Jane, for all that you have done for our community
Thank
over
you.
these many years. So here,
Oh,
we'll slide this
thank
up here.
you.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I think you have a lot of
Oh,
supporters
that's
here who
amazing.
would like to talk, so.
thank you. Thank you.
Well, Jane, we really know that we wanted to celebrate you. We wanted to celebrate all that you've contributed to our community, to the state, and to the nation in terms of looking at public policy. The kind of programming you've done really supports good democracy, good local
Thank
government,
you.
good state government. And you've been a force in this community for many, many years. You mostly like to stay in the background, but you've always had influence. And you've always worked to educate the citizenry
Thank
about
you.
this. We're very, very proud of your long record, and we just wanted to honor you. And I think Carla has something she wants to say.
Yes, right here behind you. Just turn right around here. This is a Senate resolution from the Minnesota State Senate, and I'd like to read it to you. It's a resolution from Senator Carla Nelson recognizing the 50th anniversary of the Belau Report and honoring Jane Belau. Listen to the whereases. There's a lot in here, folks. Whereas
Deep breath.
2024 marks the 50th anniversary of the Belau Report, the longest running local origination program in the nation. A pioneering public affairs program that has been a fixture in Rochester, Minnesota cable access television for the past 5 decades. And it features interviews and discussions on newsworthy topics, often highlighting community events, local personalities, and public issues. Whereas the Belau Report was created and hosted by Jane Belau, Rochester's first Poet Laureate, who has dedicated her life to the arts, community service, and public affairs in Minnesota.
Oh,
And whereas Jane Belau is a Renaissance woman who has made countless contributions as an artist, actress, award-winning costumer vocalist, musician, mentor, songwriter, jewelry designer, arts advocate, and television host. And whereas Jane Belau has served on the Minnesota Arts Board, fought tirelessly for increased funding for the arts in southeastern Minnesota, has been recognized with numerous honors and awards for her service to the community. And whereas Jane Belau is a founder of the Minnesota Women's Economic Roundtable, creating a network to advance understanding of issues of micro and macroeconomic importance and to positively impact business and societal change. And whereas Jane Belau has been a fixture at the Mayo Clinic, playing the piano in the lobby on Mondays and Thursdays from 10 to 2, providing comfort and joy to patients, visitors, and staff. And whereas Jane Belau's commitment to the arts, public affairs, and serving other examples, the spirit of Minnesota, she has inspired countless individuals over the past 5 decades. You're seeing some of them right here. Now, therefore, be it resolved by Senator Carla Nelson and the state of Minnesota that the Senate extends its heartfelt congratulations to Jane Belau on the 50th anniversary of the Belau Report and commends her for her outstanding achievements and dedication to enhancing the cultural and artistic landscape of Rochester and beyond. Congratulations. Well deserved, Jane.
Oh, my.
Well done.
Oh, thank you.
There are
Oh,
a few other people
thank
who wanted
you.
to say a few
I'm
words,
sure
Jane.
there are.
So, who's next?
I am. Jane, hello. You are such a special person in the lives of so many people. And I remember so well, I'm gonna wander around a little bit. I don't have anything prepared, but I think I first saw you, met you, way back when. I was a young JC. Young JCs were able to, at that time, if you were president of the club, you were on the chamber board of directors. And so I was amongst the city greats, if you will, at the chamber board meeting, and you walked in and you were Rochester. You were everything. You were absolutely, you ran the show. And I remember so well also, and I think it was maybe Able Cable or something like that down at the corner, I think we're maybe around where the Restovich Law Office is or somewhere in there. I was down there, and here's all these pictures on the wall, and I think you did your program out of there as well, and it was like Sadat and Begin and Khrushchev and everyone, and that was your life. But as things unfolded, at least in my life, I got to be on your show, and wasn't that special? It was absolutely amazing. You are a classic, wonderful interviewer. You have given so absolutely much to our community, not only in terms of public information, but certainly in your piano playing, your poetry, whether it's for the city or whether it's frankly for the Soldiers Field Veterans Memorial. On and on your life has gone, and on and on. All of us who surround you have admired you. We relish you, we treasure you in every respect. And I would just add, in more recent years, as I've been able to engage with the Germans and bring them, there was never a no in terms of being able to do an interview show with you. And I will tell you, if they were here today, so many of those Germans still talk about you in terms of your interviewing skills and how wonderful experience that was. And I was texting Sabina Engel this morning, and she sends her much regard. She's in Hamburg, but she would love to be here today and to enjoy this day with you.
Thank you.
On behalf of all of us, the entire community, the entire region, thank you for what you've given us, because it's been very, very special. And
Thank you.
we treasure, we admire you, and most of all, Jane, I'll just say it, we love you. You're loved by this community.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
We go back. I first met Jane at Saturday morning breakfast downtown. I forget exactly where, but she used to come every Saturday. Then I luckily got elected to the board, interviewed several times with her. She used to have Denny Hansen, John Wade, and myself sitting here. We never knew what to expect exactly. We tried to interrupt John most of the time because he talked a lot. But great times. Appreciate the interviews. The questions were difficult, put you on the spot.
Oh, this is,
Wonderful, wonderful lady. Thank you, Jane,
oh,
for everything.
thank you. Oh, thank you.
Jane, I think I'm next. Oops, I thought I followed Ken, sorry. I just want to say sincere gratitude and respect. And the gratitude comes as a woman to woman. You taught us all how to walk proudly into C-suites, into boardrooms, how to be the first, and how to do it with grace. You did that in your corporate career, and then you contribute magnificently to the vitality of our community with your arts, with your music, with your commitment. And I always look forward to an interview with you. You are the best journalist. One of the few, I can honestly say, in my career, with really good follow-up questions. You never let one thing go by. You did a good follow-up, and that is a rare skill. And I always knew when I came, I better be prepared for the second question. So thank you for your leadership, for your inspiration, for your grace, and all that you've taught so many of us.
And coming from,
She never let us stop the second.
No, the second question was always the tough one.
Jane, I just want to say thank you very much for, we'll do more of these together, but I think it was 44 years ago. The show had been on about 6 years when we met, when I was an intern at the cable company on Center Street. And from that time forward, it's been a remarkable learning experience and really a joy to be a part of your life, the boys, your daughter, you know, and the entire family. The Belau family is an amazing family.
thank
And
you,
your contributions are
thank you.
so appreciated for all of us, personally.
I want to thank my two sons for being here.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Okay, can
I
I,
think Shaun might have something.
Jane,
We're going to turn you right around.
how are you?
Let's turn
You're
you around.
Shaun.
my trade spot.
Thank you,
Oh,
thank
there
you
you
very
go.
much for
I
everything
gotta
you've
go
done.
vote for you.
I appreciate that. You are the best interviewer I've ever had. You ask great questions. I know you're very proud of your family, but last time I was here, you talked about the disability world and how much you've helped in the state of Minnesota and in the
Yeah.
world on disability, and I thank you for that also. People
Yeah.
don't always remember
Yeah.
that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Shaun.
Okay,
Oh,
I,
I hope you win.
I have to tell a great Jane Belau story.
Oh, good.
Because she embraced me when I moved here, and we used to sit next to each other at the Chamber of Government forums, and she'd whisper in my ear, not very quietly, on the many things. It was always entertaining. But Governor Dayton had been down for a visit at Mayo Clinic, and Jane was playing the piano. It was around the holiday season, like she does, and has entertained so many of our patients and visitors, which we're so grateful for. And the governor walks in the Gonda entrance, and Dr. Nosery was coming to meet him. And the governor looked down, heard the piano playing. He looked down and he's like, I said, oh yeah, we have a piano player. I said, Governor, that's Jane Belau. You might know Jane Belau. Oh my gosh. He takes off down the stairs. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Sat and he sang Christmas carols with Jane in the Gonda lobby. And you see our patients would come by and kind of look and do a double take. And here it was, because of course, the governor knew Jane Belau and beeline right down the stairs to say hello, greet her, and sing carols.
We didn't know if we'd get him back again.
I know.
For the
one of the-
meeting.
Right.
But it's one of the many things, Jane. I mean, as everybody's mentioned, I'm newer to town, but was so grateful
Thank you.
for your guidance and experience in helping me come into this community and feel welcome, and everything that you've done to educate and bring such great knowledge and entertainment and hope to people who are here visiting too. So thank you.
Oh my, thank you, thank you.
Jane,
Once a senator, always a senator. Once a mayor, always a mayor. Once a representative, always a representative. But you'll always be my first lady of Rochester. I am so proud of the fact that we were able to host your show here for all these years. An amazing run. So thank you so much.
This is too much.
It's
Oh,
well deserved.
Thank you,
Well deserved.
thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Congratulations. That key is beautiful.
Yes, it
That
is. Oh, my
beautiful,
goodness.
and the resolution is,
Oh my,
That's
well,
oh,
we want to have some cake.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to serve cake.
We, we
We're here
had so much we wanted to put on here that we had to make
I was
the
going to say,
print very
that's not
small.
everything either. It's
I
like,
know, this
there's
is
so
just,
much.
this is just the part that we could fit on here. So, congratulations, well done.
Thank you.
So I want to know
I
if you
figured as
had
much.
more speeding tickets than I did.
I assure you she did.
I talked to Guy ahead of time.
Did you pay?
I talked to Guy ahead of time.
Yeah, never actually got one.
Did you pay them? Yeah,
That's the question these days.
I know, I could hear. I was like, I didn't know if you could hear it or not, but I could hear you.
Oh, who's gonna take over?
I know, we're working on that.